The New York Rangers, a successful NHL team on the surface, but when you look closely, something is not right with this organization. The Rangers have started the year similarly to how they left last year's regular season, well above 500 with a record of 12-6-1, but with the competition in their conference increasing significantly, this record hasn't earned them much. The buzz around the team has intensified lately following a recent report by NHL insider Elliotte Friedman, which highlighted that the Rangers are actively shopping some of their biggest stars, including Chris Kreider and Jacobtrouba. But is this a proper reaction to a tough regular season loss, or something that needs to happen for this team to progress towards their ultimate goal of winning a Stanley Cup? Well, today, let's talk about the New York Rangers, this recent report by Elliotte Friedman and what it means for the team, and whether or not the Rangers should be considered serious contenders for this year's championship. The New York Rangers find themselves in a rather precarious position to start out the season. Once seen as an organization with plenty of structure and direction, they now have plenty of challenges and questions that they have to answer regarding the future of this team. So with the recent news that came out this week, expectations are high, the fan base is now confused, so let's sort of break down this team, their start to the season, and see if we can answer some of the questions that are being asked. So let's start by talking about the major report from Elliotte Friedman that he revealed in a tweet. Quote, in the aftermath of their 6-2 loss in Edmonton on Saturday, the Rangers have made it very clear that they are interested in making moves and shaking up their roster. Among the names indicated are Chris Kreider and Jacobtrouba, although other options will be considered. End quote. This was followed up by a report from ESPN's Emily Kaplan, who furthered the story in her own tweet stating, quote, strong reporting from Elliotte, followed up with calls to people around the Rangers. While this is stunning considering the team's .658 win percentage, the names mentioned leads everyone to believe that this team is sending a message. No one should feel complacent in New York right now. End quote. At the time of this recording, the Rangers have allowed 6 goals in 3 of their last 8 games. While this might seem like a sign of poor goaltending, according to advanced metrics, both Igor Shesterkin and Jonathan Quick are playing well above what was expected, and currently are the best goaltending duo when it comes to goals saved above expected at 10.8, 5.4 apiece. At the start of the year, both fans and analysts believed that the Rangers could contend this year, but inconsistencies have plagued this roster, causing management, like we mentioned in Elliotte Friedman's tweet, to believe that the core players in this group needed to be shaken up. So let's talk about the players mentioned in this tweet to see if the Rangers could even move on from these players, what they could get back, and if this is even the right move for the organization based on their future endeavors and their current day window. Jacobtrouba's name being on this list shouldn't surprise that many people. The captain of the New York Rangers was rumored in trades during the offseason, and unfortunately he just hasn't played up to that $8 million AAV contract outside of the strong leadership that he brings to the locker room. Now, as for Kreider, this is the name that actually feels like it has more significance for the team. He's 33 years old and eventually is going to regress. In fact, we've seen that a little bit to start the season. So if the Rangers feel like they can sell high and get a player who's a better fit for their current situation, then I can see the motivation behind potentially moving him. Kreider is a spectacular player, but hasn't been the issue for this team in the postseason. If you remember last year in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs against Carolina, he was spectacular in their closeout game and saved their season. Kreider is 3 seasons removed from scoring a career-high 52 goals during the 2021-22 season. He followed that up with 36 and 39 goal campaigns in 2022-23 and 2023-24 respectively. He's now started the 2024-25 season with just 9 goals and 0 assists in 19 games. Kreider has 3 seasons remaining on his 7-year deal, worth $6.5 million each season. Chris Kreider will forever be synonymous with the New York Rangers and is definitely a fan favorite amongst the hockey fans that live in the area. As for Jacobtrouba, he has received mixed reviews. Some people love his leadership, his physical style of play, while others see him as a defensive liability that's simply overpaid. But no matter what way you look at this team, these are the best two contracts and players to move off from based on their age, their production, and just their impact overall on the team. Now, I'm not saying that the Rangers are going to even be able to move on from either of these two players, but if they really were looking to shake up the core and potentially get some new faces in the organization, it does kind of make sense why these are the two that they're going to move on from, especially when you consider the fact that the next thing we're going to talk about here, Igor Shesterkin's contract, hasn't been dealt with yet. Earlier this season, I broke down the Igor Shesterkin contract offer and why he turned down a deal that would make him the highest paid goalie in NHL history. Well, we are now 20 games into the season and there is still no contract signed. The Vezina Trophy winner is the cornerstone for this franchise, but with his current deal expiring soon, the team needs to navigate a delicate balance of rewarding their franchise goalie but also maintaining a sustainable cap structure. Basically, what I mean by that is they don't want to overpay their goalie, but they don't want to lowball him so he'll leave the team. Now, the reason the Shesterkin contract is complicated is because Alexis Lafreniere will be seeing a pay increase next year, and with their current cap structure, there will be no room for Shesterkin to sign unless they move off from someone else, especially given the number that's been reported about what Igor Shesterkin wants on his next deal. What this means is that the Rangers could be looking to add a more affordable defensive option compared to Trouba, or a younger forward on a somewhat similar deal to Kreider who can impact winning a bit more than he's done over the past couple of years. Now, this is not saying that either of these two players have not been significant impacts to the Rangers, but it's just saying that maybe this team feels like a shakeup in their core is necessary in order for them to take that next step. Now, both these deals would have limited trading partners to choose from, but with Trouba's deal expiring soon, it's not exactly the worst deal to move off of, and he could be impactful for another team. And the upside of Kreider's impact on a championship contender, both could very well happen depending on who is in the market for a potential top 4 defenseman and of course a top 6 player. Now, Emily Kaplan briefly explained this in her tweet, but you can look at this entire situation in two different lights. On one hand, management is just trying to spark some energy in this group by making a threat that, hey, we're going to ship some of you out if you don't start being more consistent. That's one way to look at it. On the other hand, they could be serious here. Maybe they're sick of the inconsistencies. Maybe they don't like what they've seen in the playoffs and they see this roster as just a regular season team. And this is their way to try to say, hey, we're going to shake things up. We know this is our window and we're going to capitalize on it. Either way, though, I don't see this as a good sign, with the Rangers needing management to step in and either make a drastic change or just have to spark the energy in the locker room. I think there's something to be said about the culture that's being set over in New York and whether or not players are actually looking to come into the game and play every single night, or if they're just simply doing what we kind of see a lot of Stanley Cup competing teams do, which is just play out the regular season just to get back to the postseason. Last thing I want to talk about that I continue harping on with this team is the lack of young stars development and how it has crippled this team during their prime window for championship success. When you look at any championship contender, there's a good balance of rookies on great contracts who are overperforming or just meeting the expectations of their draft position, as well as veterans who are on the higher paid contracts who can help round out your roster. When it comes to the Rangers, and specifically Kaapo Kakko and Filip Chytil, they were both drafted with high expectations, but haven't quite lived up to their potential. They've shown flashes of brilliance, but consistency has really been their challenge. The Rangers need these two players to take a significant step forward, or they may face tough decisions regarding their long-term future in New York. Both of these guys are proving to be solid third-line contributors, but when you are taken so high in the first round, you need to start showing your impact while in bigger roles. If the Rangers would like to move off from a guy like Kreider, the ideal situation would be to bump one of these two players up to their top 6. But unfortunately, they just haven't been taking advantage of the opportunities that they've been given, and this doesn't seem like a long-term solution for the organization. The New York Rangers find themselves at a crossroads. They need to assess the core of their team and determine what the future holds. The potential trade of core players like Kreider and Trouba indicates a desire for change. The young core of players like Kakko and Chytil still need to step up and significantly contribute to this team, or they will likely be moved in the future. The fate of Shesterkin's contract and their offensive and defensive inconsistencies are all major question marks. The season ahead is filled with uncertainty, and the Rangers will need to make some difficult decisions if they want to meet their own standards of Stanley Cup contention. But as always, I want to know what you guys think. Do you think that the New York Rangers are serious about moving on from players in their core like Kreider, Jacobtrouba, or potentially others like Mika Zibanejad, Artemi Panarin, and anyone else who they claim is not safe on their roster? I also want to know if you guys have any further thoughts about Igor Shesterkin's current contract dispute, and if you think it's a bad thing or not that the Rangers haven't inked him down to a new extension. Now, before I sign off of this video, about 90% of the people who are watching these videos have not subscribed to the channel. I have a sub goal of about 20,000 subscribers that I would love to reach by the end of the year. So if you guys want to continue supporting me and the content that I produce, make sure you hit that like button now and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thank you guys as always for watching the videos. I will see you guys in the next episode.